There was a moment, one simple conversation that changed everything. He was lost, uncertain, and ready to give up. But then his father looked him in the eyes and said words that would echo in his soul for the rest of his life. He said, "Son, if you want your life to mean something, stop waiting for the world to hand you purpose. Start creating it." Those words hit deep. From that day forward, he stopped blaming circumstances and started building discipline. He stopped wishing and started working. Every failure became a lesson. Every setback became a setup for a comeback. And today, when you look at the man he's become, you can trace it all back to that one moment, that one voice, that one piece of fatherly wisdom that ignited the fire within him. So remember this, sometimes it's not a miracle that changes your life, it's a message. A few words spoken at the right time by someone who believes in you when you don't even believe in yourself. There are moments in life when a single piece of advice becomes the turning point of an entire destiny. The wisdom that comes from a father often carries a weight that no book, no lecture, and no motivational speaker can match. It is shaped by years of experience, by the scars of mistakes, and by the victories that were earned through perseverance. When a father speaks, his words are not mere instructions, but reflections of a life that has seen both the rise and the fall. His advice doesn't just tell you what to do. It reminds you of who you are and what you can become if you listen, believe, and act. The life-changing wisdom from a father is never just about success. It is about character, courage, and conviction. When a father looks into the eyes of his child and offers advice, he is not simply passing knowledge. He is transferring strength. He speaks from a place of love and truth, even when the truth hurts. Sometimes that wisdom comes as a whisper, other times as a stern correction, but it always carries a purpose. It challenges you to rise above excuses, to see beyond your limitations, and to trust that you were created for something greater. A father's advice becomes the voice that echoes in moments of doubt, the reminder that even when the world is against you, there is someone who believes in you enough to tell you the truth. That truth, when received with humility, has the power to transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. Every great transformation begins with awareness, and a father's wisdom often provides that spark. It awakens something deep within her. Desire to do better, to live differently, and to honor the faith someone has placed in you. Many people wander through life searching for meaning, chasing approval, or waiting for the perfect moment to begin. But one conversation, one sentence from a father who sees your potential can turn hesitation into movement. It can take confusion and turn it into clarity. It can teach that the path to fulfillment doesn't begin with having everything figured out, but with taking one faithful step forward. The advice that changes lives doesn't always sound grand. Sometimes it's as simple as, don't give up, keep your word, or do what's right even when no one's watching. Yet those simple words hold the power to anchor a person when storms come. They become the principles that shape decisions, guide actions, and build a legacy. Life-changing wisdom is never about comfort. It is about calling you higher. It teaches responsibility, endurance, and faith. It reminds you that the world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself the effort to become the best version of who you were meant to be. A father's advice becomes the unseen foundation beneath every victory, the quiet strength behind every breakthrough, and the invisible compass that keeps the soul aligned with purpose. There comes a time in every person's life when the realization dawns that waiting for purpose to appear is nothing more than delaying growth. Many people spend years hoping that one day life will reveal a grand plan, a clear direction, or a divine sign pointing toward what they are meant to do. But purpose is not something that simply arrives at your doorstep. It is something that must be built, shaped, and discovered through action. The shift from waiting for purpose to creating it marks the beginning of true transformation. It is the moment when you stop asking life what it can give you and start asking what you can give to life. It's when you stop standing on the sidelines, hoping for clarity, and begin moving forward with faith, even when you cannot see the entire path. Waiting for purpose often feels safe because it gives a sense of patience and hope. But behind that waiting hides fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice. The truth is, clarity comes through movement, not meditation alone. You find purpose by doing, by experimenting, by taking imperfect steps towards something that matters. Every action, no matter how small, begins to reveal what drives you, what inspires you, and what aligns with your deepest values. Creating purpose means taking ownership of your story, refusing to let circumstances dictate your direction, and choosing to make meaning out of whatever life places in your hands. It is not about having everything figured out. It is about having the courage to begin with what you know and trust that the rest will unfold in time. Those who create purpose understand that fulfillment is not a destination but a process. They do not wait for the perfect opportunity. They create opportunities out of persistence and passion. They turn obstacles into building blocks and challenges into lessons. Instead of waiting for someone to recognize their potential, they prove it through consistency. Each step forward becomes a declaration that life will not be spent in hesitation. The act of creating purpose transforms the mind because it shifts focus from lack to possibility. It teaches that meaning is not found in what happens to you, but in how you respond to it. You learn that every day, every decision, every moment is a chance to shape something lasting. This shift also changes how you see yourself. You stop viewing yourself as a seeker and start recognizing that you are a creator. You are no longer dependent on external validation or waiting for a perfect plan. You realize that the world is not waiting to hand you your calling. It is waiting for you to step into it. By creating purpose, you ignite a fire that cannot be put out by disappointment or delay. You begin to see life not as something to endure, but as something to build. That change in mindset becomes the foundation for greatness, because once you start creating your purpose, every action becomes meaningful. Every day becomes intentional, and every challenge becomes another step toward the person you were destined to become. Failure is one of life's greatest teachers, yet most people fear it more than they respect it. The truth is, failure is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of effort. It proves that you had the courage to try, to take a step beyond comfort, and to face the unknown. When you shift your mindset from seeing failure as defeat to viewing it as fuel for growth, everything changes. You begin to understand that every setback carries within it a lesson, a correction, and an opportunity to refine your path. Failure exposes what needs to be improved, what must be strengthened, and what beliefs must be transformed. It removes illusions and forces honesty, showing you where you stand and what you're truly capable of when comfort is stripped away. Turning failure into fuel means refusing to let disappointment define your identity. It means using the pain as a motivator rather than a prison. Each time you fall, you gain insight that success alone could never teach. You learn resilience, patience, and humility. You discover the importance of preparation and the power of persistence. Most importantly, you realize that growth rarely happens in moments of victory. It happens in moments of struggle, when you have to decide whether to stay down or rise again. The people who grow the most are not those who never fail, but those who never stop learning from their failures. They take every mistake as a stepping stone toward mastery, allowing the experience to sharpen their vision and strengthen their character. Failure also burns away pride. It humbles the spirit and reminds you that success is not guaranteed by desire alone, but earned through discipline, consistency, and endurance. It teaches that every great accomplishment is built on a foundation of trials and errors. When you allow failure to shape you instead of break you, it becomes a catalyst for wisdom. You begin to appreciate the process more than the outcome, because you realize that every stumble has a purpose. The lessons you gain from failure become part of your foundation, guiding your decisions and giving you the confidence to face future challenges with strength. To turn failure full, you must learn to respond, not react. Reacting means letting emotions control the moment, feeling defeated, hopeless, or ashamed. Responding means pausing, reflecting, and asking, what is this experience trying to teach me? It is in that question that growth begins. You turn the energy of frustration into determination, the weight of regret into motivation, and the sting of loss into a renewed hunger to improve. Failure, when embraced correctly, creates an inner fire that no success can match. It fuels the desire to rise stronger, to work smarter, and to prove that every fall was only a part of the journey. When failure becomes your teacher instead of your enemy, growth becomes inevitable, and every setback transforms into a source of strength that propels you toward a higher version of yourself. Discipline is the invisible force that turns dreams into reality. It is the quiet strength behind every success story, the unwavering commitment that sustains progress long after motivation fades. Motivation can inspire you to start, but discipline ensures you continue. It is the bridge between intention and accomplishment, the difference between wishing for change and working for it. True transformation never happens overnight. It is built through small, consistent actions that are repeated even when you don't feel like it. Discipline demands focus, sacrifice, and patience. It requires saying no to distractions and yes to purpose. It teaches that success is not about doing something once with passion, but about doing it daily with persistence. When discipline becomes your foundation, emotions lose their control over your decisions. You no longer wait to feel ready. You act because it's required. You stop allowing moods or circumstances to dictate your effort. Discipline anchors you when everything around you feels uncertain. It keeps you moving forward through seasons of doubt, fatigue, and frustration. Every repetition, every hour spent improving, every decision to stay committed builds inner strength. Over time, those small acts compound into transformation. Discipline trains the mind to push through resistance and teaches the body to follow through even when the mind protests. It's in those moments of resistance that growth is born, because transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in consistency. People often look for shortcuts or instant results, but discipline teaches the opposite. It teaches that mastery takes time, excellence takes effort, and character takes endurance. It turns ordinary routines into extraordinary outcomes. The most successful people are not the most talented, they are the most disciplined. They show up when no one is watching, they work when it's inconvenient, and they persist when others give up. Discipline gives structure to ambition, transforming raw potential into tangible results. It doesn't seek recognition, it seeks progress. It doesn't depend on luck, it depends on effort. Each day of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Discipline also reveals integrity. It means keeping promises to yourself, honoring your commitments even when no one would notice if you didn't. It is about being faithful to your goals, not just enthusiastic about them. The more you practice discipline, the more you build trust within yourself. That self-trust becomes power. It reminds you that you can rely on your own strength, that you can be counted on to follow through. Transformation is never just about external results. It is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't quit, who doesn't settle, who doesn't compromise their vision for temporary comfort. When discipline becomes your foundation, every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Every routine becomes a step toward greatness, and every small act of consistency becomes part of the powerful process that shapes who you are becoming. There are moments in life when words arrive at the exact time they are needed, carrying the power to shift an entire destiny. Belief and timing often work together in mysterious ways, aligning perfectly to awaken something dormant within the soul. A message that might have been ignored yesterday suddenly pierces the heart today because you are ready to receive it. The power of belief gives that message life, while timing gives it meaning. When both align, transformation becomes possible. Belief is the inner spark that turns words into conviction, and timing is the divine rhythm that ensures those words arrive when your heart is open enough to listen. Many people hear powerful truths every day, but only those who believe and recognize the right moment act on them. Belief is what separates dreamers from doers. It is the unseen force that gives strength to take the first step even when the path is unclear. Without belief, the greatest opportunities can be missed because doubt overshadows potential. With belief, even the smallest seed of encouragement can grow into a life-changing decision. Timing, on the other hand, is the silent orchestrator of destiny. It cannot be forced or predicted, but when it comes, it brings clarity. The right message at the wrong time may be forgotten, but the right message at the right time can alter everything. It can reignite lost hope, inspire new courage, and set in motion a chain of actions that lead to transformation. The power of belief and timing in one message is found in how it connects the heart and the moment. Belief activates the courage to act, and timing provides the space for revelation. There are seasons when life feels still, when prayers seem unanswered, and progress feels delayed. Yet in those moments, a single message can arrive that reminds you why you started, why you must keep going, and why the waiting was never wasted. That message becomes a mirror, reflecting your own strength back to you. It awakens the faith that was buried under disappointment and reminds you that everything happens for a reason and at the right time. Belief without timing can lead to frustration, while timing without belief can lead to missed chances. But when the two meet, change becomes unstoppable. The message that carries both becomes more than inspiration. It becomes a catalyst. It breaks through fear and reminds you that what you believe in determines what you create. It reminds you that timing is never accidental, that every delay, every detour, and every disappointment was preparing you for this exact moment of realization. The power of belief and timing lies in their harmony, where the right truth meets a willing heart. When that happens, no obstacle is too great, no dream too distant, and no circumstance too final. That single message, heard and believed at the perfect moment, becomes the spark that sets transformation in motion and lights the path toward a new beginning. Sometimes all it takes is one conversation to change the entire direction of a person's life. It may last only a few minutes, but its impact can echo for decades. Words spoken at the right moment can awaken a dormant dream, heal a wounded heart, or ignite the courage to begin again. A single conversation has the power to shift perspective, to open the eyes to what was always there but never seen clearly. It can bring clarity where confusion once ruled and faith where fear once lived. What makes such moments so powerful is not the length of the dialogue, but the depth of its meaning. When truth meets readiness, transformation begins. Every life-changing conversation begins with honesty. It's when someone dares to speak truth, sometimes hard, sometimes uncomfortable, but always necessary. In that exchange, something breaks open inside the listener, something that cannot be ignored or forgotten. The right words can challenge complacency and stir the soul into movement. They can inspire action where there was hesitation and conviction where there was doubt. Often, that single conversation doesn't change circumstances immediately. Over time, that seed grows into a new mindset, a new passion, or a new sense of direction. Long after the words are spoken, they continue to echo in the heart, shaping decisions and defining the path ahead. What makes these moments unforgettable is the timing and the spirit in which they are spoken. Sometimes they come from a mentor, a parent, a teacher, or even a stranger whose words carry wisdom that resonates deeply. Other times, the conversation happens within yourself, a moment of inner confrontation where you finally admit what must change. These conversations have the power to pierce through denial and awaken self-awareness. They remind you that you are capable of more, that the limits you've accepted are not permanent, and that the life you desire begins with one decision. A single conversation can also heal. When someone listens without judgment and speaks truth with love, it restores hope in the human spirit. It reminds us that connection still matters, that empathy still transforms, and that one person's words can breathe life into another's darkness. It becomes a spark that ignites confidence, purpose, and renewal. These are the moments that people look back on years later and say, that's where everything changed. Not because something magical happened, but because someone cared enough to speak words that awakened purpose. The power of one conversation lies in its ability to awaken what has always been within. It can remind you of your strength, your worth, and your potential to rise again. One voice, one truth, one honest exchange can shift an entire destiny and become the defining moment that leads to lifelong change. Life is often shaped not by the grand events, but by the quiet moments that awaken truth within us. A father's wisdom, the courage to create purpose, the strength to rise after failure, the discipline to stay consistent, the divine timing of a message, and the spark of a single conversation. All these threads weave together to form the fabric of transformation. Each one reminds us that change doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. The choice to listen, to believe, to act, and to grow. When you take the lessons that life offers, through pain, through patience, through persistence, you begin to see that every word, every struggle, and every step was preparing you for something greater. Transformation is not a destination, but a lifelong journey of faith and resilience. It begins the moment you decide to stop waiting for your story to be written and start writing it yourself with conviction, courage, and the unwavering belief that your life can become the message that inspires others to rise and change forever.